from the Tim Burton films. It's relatively simple. There's obviously a fair amount of parts, just small bits and pieces, but those are odd little details, really. It should be fairly quick to build. Probably going to like this, but really the only lights that go in it are the headlights and the tail lights. And if I want to, I suppose I could hollow out and do the rear turbine, maybe with a couple of sort of flicker effect LEDs. The cockpit itself and the dashboard, it's actually quite nicely detailed. Where is it? Oh, it is that one there. Don't know if you can see the detail just there. It's got all the dials and everything. This, having looked back at some stills, I need to watch the film again. You going to focus? You going to focus? There it is. There's lots of nice sculpted detail on there, which would be quite easy to pick out with some simple dry brushing. But there wasn't an awful lot of lights and gadgets and gizmos, just a lot of dials and switches. So I don't think I'm going to light up the cockpit. I've seen some people add fibre optic and put bits and pieces in there, which looks good. But once you've got the canopy closed, you're not going to see it that easily. So I'll probably just leave that. Meaning that this, again, is just, you know, LEDs in there, LEDs there, and put it together, and that's that done. So that's the 89 Batmobile. That should be fairly simple. The other Batmobile I've got is going to be significantly harder to light up, which makes me wonder if I want to not light both of them, because if you light one, you've got to light the other, and if you have one lit and one not lit, it just looks And my plan to get the other Batmobiles and have them all together, some seem to want to have lights, others don't. Some have lights for effect, some just have them for, you know, practicality, like the headlights on this one. I'll show you the next kit and you'll see what I mean. Right, so here's the next one, and as you can see from the bits and pieces, hopefully you recognise this. This is the 95 Batman Forever Batmobile, the Val Kilmer one, which I've got to be honest is my favourite. Absolutely love this design. Love the heritage of the design. There are a few, not many people know this, there are a few designs by H.R. Giger, who designed the Alien, that were never used. But there's so much of Giger's art style in this car, and I just love it. I love the whole thing, and Batman Forever is probably my favourite Batman film. So obviously it's got the ribbing, and underneath the ribbing you have all the sort of chrome pieces and what have you. And there's this blue glow that comes out from underneath it, which looks fantastic. The model itself, much like the 89 Batmobile, isn't really that complicated. There's lots of little bits and pieces, but that's just the sort of the detail and components. What's going to be difficult with lighting this isn't lighting the sort of internal structure. That's quite simple. The difficult part with this is lighting the headlights and the hubcaps. Now the hubcaps, those four there, those chrome pieces, in the film, the centres of them are lit, and they have the Batman, the little bat symbol on them. Really, other than recasting the whole things in clear, and then chroming the outer part, I don't know how I'm going to light that at all. So that's one thing that makes me think lighting this might be a bit awkward. The other thing is the headlights themselves are tiny, tiny, tiny separate pieces. Here they are. This is quite difficult doing this in one hand. So those are the headlights which just sit. Let's turn the other around so you can see better. Focus. Yeah, so those sit up like that. Now, that little piece is clearly big enough to have a small LED or SMD in it. But the way it connects to the rest of the car is going to make wiring it and hiding those wires really, really, really awkward. I have no idea how I'm going to do that. And also, not just that, if I'm going to light the hubcaps, getting the light there and then the way the axles and things are assembled, getting those wires and things in is going to be really, really difficult. So what I might end up doing is only partially lighting it. I can sort of, you know, you can cheat with this. With the chrome and with the decals on it, it's going to reflect enough light to make it look lit up. The headlights themselves, it's kind of a bit weird having a car without headlights, isn't it? The internal lighting's easy enough. So I'm not sure about that. This one is going to take a little bit of sort of scratching in the head, trying to figure out how to put it together in the best way. without messing up the kit, because it's not a very easy kit to get hold of. You occasionally see it on eBay, and it's often coming from faraway countries, which makes it prohibitively expensive. But there's that. This is one of my favourites. This really is. I really want to do it justice. And to have it alongside the 89 Batmobile. The 89 Batmobile is reasonably simple to light. And if you've got one with lights and not the other, is that going to look strange? And then say in the future I get the Dawn of Justice Batmobile. That only really has headlights. The Tumbler as well, the Dark Knight Tumbler, doesn't really have much in the way of effects light. It's only really this and the 97 Batman and Robin kit, which again was made by Revell and is even harder to come by than this one. And I've got to say, is another really, really great design that's criminally overlooked. That one has all sorts of crazy lighting and effects. It's got chase lights, it's got spinning lights in the turbine. I've never actually seen that kit properly put together or taken apart or a video on it or anything. So yeah, I don't know what to do about that. So this is probably going to sit in the bottom of the pile for a while, although I am itching to get it done. I think doing the 89 one first is probably the right way around. So there's that. And as you can tell by me talking, this is, I'm hoping 2018 is going to be the year of the Batmobile. I want this one, I want that one. I'd love to get the Batman and Robin Revell one. The classic 60s one, I like the design. It's iconic. The kit's readily available, but it doesn't really excite me as much. The Tumbler, again, I like the design. It doesn't excite me as much, although I quite like the idea of having the Tumbler and having the camo version with the little Bane figure. Love the Dawn of Justice build. Definitely want to get that with some of the green strawberry parts to sort that out. So, yeah, Batmobiles. Let's have a look at the other kits. Okay, give this another go after the camera cut out. Here is Thunderbird 4. This is the Bandai kit. The box is absolutely mashed, but that really doesn't matter because this thing is ancient and it's gorgeous and yellow. I quite like yellow at the moment. This is really small and really simple, and I'm really looking forward to putting this together. Whether or not I light it is neither here nor there. I could light the, where is it? The sort of searchlight, it's kind of trenchy bucket thing, run some magnet wire up the support arms. What I want to do with this really is make a lovely little display base with aquarium plants and things like that, and just go over to the pet shop and see what I can find, get some plants, maybe I don't know. You see all sorts of strange things when you're looking at the aquarium section. So, have you seen these stickers? These stickers are amazing. They're ancient and huge and ridiculous, and they're not going to get used. The real problem with this kit is the interior, and the poor little Tracy. Look at him. What's that all about? That's just shocking. So I'm going to have to scratch build a cockpit, which is sounds like a big thing, but it's not really. The hardest part is going to be finding a little guy to go in it that's the right scale. I think this is around about 1/60th, which is not a common scale to find small toy men in. 72nd is a little bit easier. So I'm probably going to be scrounging various toy kits to see what I can find. The other alternative is that I make the windows opaque and not clear, I suppose. Black them out, paint them out, but that doesn't seem right somehow. Yeah. But this is going to be a fun little thing. This really comes down to one day making a detour towards somewhere like Pets at Home, whatever, and just going and looking at all the nice animals and buying a whole bunch of random stuff, and people look at me and go, why are you buying aquarium plants? You don't have an aquarium. So there's that. Right, let's crack open the Secret Santa and have a look at that. Okay, so here's the Secret Santa, which is the Tamiya Ferrari F40 kit. Stunning detail on this kit. It really is good, and it looks like it's one of the best representations of the car around, having done some research on this kit specifically. That sprue there is just all the parts for the engine. I don't think it's all the parts for the engine, but it's most of them. There's so many little detail pieces here and there. And the instructions are quite thorough with the colour callouts and whatever. I need to double check, see how accurate they are. But this is... I don't know if this is going to be a difficult build. It's not going to be lit at all, so that makes things easier. Putting together these small models is second nature to me, because I've been building and playing Warhammer 40,000, Fantasy Battle, Age of Sigmar, all that sort of stuff for ages, and painting small models is, you know, something I do. There's some of my Gribblies, my lovely Nurgle stuff there. So, you know, putting this together, and I'd be painting it by hand, to be honest. I wouldn't be masking it and airbrushing it, not something like that. I would, you know, once I primed it and put bits together, I'd get similar colours. I'd use paints, washes. I'd get some of the different effects going and sort that out. So that should be fairly fun and easy. The same with the rest of the parts. The body itself, I've got to paint it yellow. Red cards are cool, but yellow cards are even cooler, and they were made in colours other than red. So yellow ones have existed, and I think black ones have existed, and I think that's it. And I can kind of kill two birds with one stone by getting a nice yellow colour for this, which I can probably then use for Thunderbird 4. Might not be, you know, canon, but it'll look nice if I get sort of a very subtle pearl yellow. I know Tamiya do some nice yellows, so I'm going to have a further look at those. But I want to get this started fairly soon. I'll probably sit and build and paint the engine first, and then I imagine it'll probably get sat and left for a few weeks while I do other things. But the nice thing about this kit is it does build up to a certain extent in sub-assemblies, which are quite different from each other. Unlike with, say, like doing an Enterprise where you build the sub-assemblies and then everything's grey or everything's white. Painting the engine, you've got all the engine parts and the details and the metal colours to do. The body, the interior, there's a lot of different finishes, which is fascinating. I think one of the things I didn't realise that doing model cars would bring, having done spaceships mostly, they're usually one uniform colour with a few little bits of detail. You know, there's not a lot of difference across the board, is there? So this is going to be great. I'm really looking forward to getting this done and sharing that Secret Santa Christmas build with you guys. There's one other kit I want to show you. This is an old kit. Again, a car, in a manner of speaking, a movie car. So there's definitely a sort of a Cars theme going on. Let's get the next one. Oh, look at it. Isn't it gorgeous? It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. This is the, well, it's obvious really. This is the APC from Aliens. This is the Halcyon kit that came out, I don't know, when was it, 93, 94? I think they started making kits just after, or just around the release of Alien 3, which was in 92. And that was about the time I was really getting into sci-fi stuff outside of the wargaming. So I must have got this then from a model shop that used to exist in Brighton. Very excitedly put it together at the age of about 14 maybe. With, you got to remember, in the early 90s, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have videos. There weren't really that many magazines that I was aware of that had any instruction on how to do this stuff. So I put this together, and that was that. I painted it by hand with bits of Games Workshop paints. You can see, over the years, it's absolutely thick with dust. Look at that. This thing has moved house and flat so many times, and I'm so glad that it is still in this condition. I mean, it's not in great condition, but basically what I want to do this year is a full-on restoration of this. This kit is practically impossible to buy now. Same with the dropship. It's almost all there that the bottoms actually come off, which I'm kind of grateful for. Makes things easier. The only thing that's missing are the two actual... There was some detail pieces that went on there, on the front of the gun. But what I want to do is, it's already starting to come apart over the years. It's where I didn't really glue it and put it together properly. Is I am going to very, very carefully take this to pieces and essentially put it back together again with the knowledge I have now and repaint it. I might sort of, you know, super detail it, as they say. You know, cut out this mesh and actually put some proper brass etch mesh behind there. Add some of the details that are missing, like some of the little sort of lights and tripods, rearrange this to make it more accurate. The one really big issue that this kit has is the wheels. The tread is completely inaccurate. The actual tread on the wheels has this funky sort of, I don't know how you describe it as well. It's at an angle for a start, so it's a 45-degree tread. And I have seen pictures of people in the modelling community having redesigned the wheels, and someone once, many years ago, redesigned the wheels and recast them in resin. And I found pictures, but the problem with the internet is once something's on the internet, it's there forever. So whoever this mysterious person was that made these resin wheels for this kit particularly, that might have been 10 years ago. That person might not exist, and those molds might not exist. So how I tackle making those wheels more correct, which I want to do, I really do. That's the biggest stumbling block. But taking this apart, cleaning it up, repainting it. God, look at the dust. It's amazing. This dust is probably 20 odd years old. Extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. This has literally travelled all over the UK, various flats and houses, and it's still in this more or less one piece. That's amazing. But anyway, more cars, more movie cars. Not that I'm giving up on the Trek stuff, no way at all. The Enterprise C, both of them, the larger one, the 1400, it's just a case of me sitting down and wiring those nacelles, and then I can just paint it and get it finished. The smaller one, I actually had problems with the masking fluid I started using, so I might scrap it. It might end up getting cannibalised because I've got a conversion kit, so I'm not sure about that. Also casually working on the 2500 scale stuff. I've got here's the bits from the DS9 kit. Just primed that up the other day. There's the Sabre class, blaster primer. The Akira also has had a blaster primer that needs some serious sanding and puttying and stuff. You can see if I can get it to focus. I can show you. Yeah, you can kind of just about see it in there. Yeah, this is going to take some serious love. I mean, this sort of printed resin kit, anyone who's built resin kits know that they have a completely different level of complexity to them compared to building styrene kits. So that's going to take a lot of work with the putting and sanding, and it's all in very thin areas, so I'm going to have to take time. This is going to be one of those ones where you do a little bit at a time, leave it, come back to it, a little bit at a time, leave it, come back to it. But the hope is with this, where's the Defiant? There's the Defiant as well. So the idea here is slowly just to build up a collection of 2500 scale kits that featured in First Contact, in that battle with the Borg. So I've got the Enterprise E that I've done. There's a Nebula kit out there because there were Nebulas featured. There's the Steamrunner class and the Norway class. I think are still available on StarshipModeler.biz. I need to double check that. You don't see it on screen, but there is mentioned by name the USS Bozeman, which is the Soyuz class, which is a refit of this. What's quite nice is that a year or two ago, Multiverse Models mastered and released a few conversion kits for various types of Reliant, whether it's the 2500 Reliant, the 1000 Reliant. I think they did a 1400. I don't think they did the 537, but they did a bunch of conversion kits for the Soyuz to turn it into the Bozeman with the extra, the sort of extended shuttle bay and whatever. So that would be quite nice, doing a conversion on a kit this small. I quite like the idea of that. So that's all that. That's plenty of things to be getting on with. Probably far too many things to be getting on with. But that's what we like to do, isn't it? So there we are. This year, cars, lights, movie cars, small spaceships, not too many big ones, because the big ones seem to just drag on and on and on, and I love them to bits, but they do become a burden, don't they? So there's that. As always, really interested to see everyone else's builds, hear your comments, any ideas, particularly on the lighting of the Batman Forever Batmobile. I'm going to have to get my head around working with SMDs for that, I think, if I really want to go to town with it. Anything else? No, that's all. Okay, take it easy, guys, especially everyone out there in sci-fi fantasy land. Have a great time. Happy New Year if I haven't said that already. And look forward to showing you more over the next few months. Cheers. Bye.